So for my final project, I've put together this presentation of what I've been working on throughout the semester. So basically, our semester goals were to use Fusion 360 and try and make a useful product, and with that, use packaging and use all different kinds of softwares to try and make it look as professional as possible and have more insight into what product design really is. And so using Fusion 360, my original idea was to make a skateboard holder, which I did end up designing and putting together in Fusion 360, but it was ended up being too large to print. So actually, the part of the shift knob in my car ended up breaking. So I took it as a great opportunity to invent that and kind of make what I call the custom car collective, which basically is just my company per se, and in there I make custom parts for the interiors of cars. So this is like my second to final model piece here, which is just the cap to the shift knob. Since there aren't many other companies that do this, I take a lot of pride in my creativity and originality. And as I experimented with Fusion 360, I faced several challenges with the software along with other softwares, but overall I am very happy with my product, and I will get into that now. So I had never designed a custom book, which is the inside of the box that holds my product, which is this, or a box itself. So I found it very interesting in taking those steps to find and research different types of boxes and kind of create my own template. And I started firstly with a prototype out of paper where I just drew what I wanted my box to look like and the outline of that, and cut it out with scissors and try to make it as functional as possible. And eventually I converted that into Fusion 360 and designed it there. And throughout the process, I've made several adjustments, which I'll show pictures of. But over here, the box on the left was the first box that I designed and cut with Cry-Cut. And the box on the left is my final box, or at least almost final box, with all the artwork on it. And the photo on the left here is the evolution of my product. So this one was the first one that I ended up printing. The second one, as I made adjustments, I made it larger, rounder, and the last one is the final one that I printed on the last day of school. I added fillets, and in the middle, this was from the original piece of the car, which is just a rubber backing that goes into here. And I also spray painted it with some chrome spray paint, which just made it look a lot more like the original, even though it's still not perfect, and I will continue to make adjustments. It does function, and it does work. So going back to the development of my box, something I struggled with for a little bit, for a few weeks, was trying to adjust the parameters. It was something that I was new to, and I'll show how I got that done now. So here's where I made my box, if it plays. And this is just what it looks like. We had to use the push and pull feature to make it stand out. And right here, all of these names are the expressions I've used and then transferred those into here. So instead of having a certain length here, it's a name, and then it converts it into the value. And what I'm about to do now is kind of turn it into a drawing from design, which allows me to properly export it or get it ready for export into Adobe Illustrator. And I'll show a little bit more of what that looks like in the next few pictures. But what I'm going to show now is one of the well, here is just how I prepare it still. But the next thing I'm going to show is one of the versions of my shift knob replacement. It's actually this version here, and I'm not sure if you can still see the loom screen, but if you can, it's this version, or the version that I held up before. And yeah, so it's not the final one, but it is one of them. So I just wanted to show how I designed that and made it there. I want to go back and pause it because I want to show a lot of the adjustments right here. This ring I had to make a lot bigger. Even in this version, I still had to make it bigger. I had to make the diameter bigger. I had to mess around with these a little bit, and there's a cut here that I had to fix and adjust as I expanded the diameter. And yeah. So on the top right corner were the first two cutouts of my box. As you can see, I had to make several variations to them. Even for the final one here, it looks a little different from those two there. So the one on the left, the far left, is the first one. I made the first one ever that got cut with the machine, and the one on the second is a variation of that, but still not the final. Definitely turned out a lot better, but not even close to how it looks now. And right next to that on the top right is how it looks before, how my product looks before it gets 3D printed. So that's in Iger, which is the software we use to print it. And right below that, this picture, actually I'll go to the one next to that. So that is an Adobe Illustrator. That's how we make adjustments to some of the sizing and just get it ready for cry cut so it properly cuts. And then after doing that, you put it into cry cut here, which you can see, you can use different templates, images, add text, shapes, and upload your designs, which is what I did. And then all the artwork I used from cry cut. Unfortunately, as you can see, this is actually still black. We didn't have any other colors, but that is okay. And I've just really enjoyed how it turned out. This took a pretty long time to print, but it was definitely worth it. And actually originally, instead of using cry cut, which is like a laser cutting, and not a laser, like a blade cutting machine, we had a laser cutting machine, but unfortunately that broke halfway through the process. But I think cry cut actually ended up working out better, since you could add all this different kind of artwork, even though the laser cutter was a little cooler. So unfortunately I did not get to print out my buck. I'm still working on it, but basically the buck is what goes inside of here, just kind of fills up a little more of the space, and it is custom, so this just fits right into it and makes it look a little more aesthetically pleasing and professional. So I'm really excited to continue working on that next semester, and yeah, I'm very proud of how this box turned out, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.